songs, let me tell you about a friend. It's Craig LeBlanc where the good times never end. Talking Parks and Rec, it's a show you gotta know. Welcome one and all to the Daily Parks and Rec Show. It's the Daily Parks and Rec Show.
It's okay to be vulnerable. I think that's the one. Actually, going through CAPRA, I probably learned that the most, because during CAPRA, you're looking for all your flaws and you have to get up in front of your township and say, these are our flaws. we have to fix them. By being vulnerable or showing that you don't know something or learning from your mistakes, there's a lot of growth in that, right? Learning is losing is learning. No, losing is learning. I said it backwards, but it's an opportunity to really learn that. And I feel like in my younger self.
Welcome back to the Daily Parks and Rec Show Leadership Series. In this episode, we're sitting down with Monica A. Tierney, Parks and Recreation Director for Lower Makefield Township in Pennsylvania, one of the most active local government advocates for our industry. From her early years as a young athlete and summer camper to discovering her calling in parks and recreation, Monica's journey is a story of growth, service, and leadership. She shares how her experience with the YMCA, youth camps, military MWR, and now municipal government helped shape her approach to community building, youth development, and team leadership. In this episode, Monica talks about running camps that build future leaders, why Parks and Rec is essential, navigating social media in small communities, and what it really takes for smaller agencies to achieve CAPRA-accreditation. Get ready for insights on leadership, workforce development, community impact, and the lessons she learned along the way. Let's dive in. All right, we are live again with the Daily Parks and Rec Show, our leadership series with Monica. Monica, how do you pronounce your last name again?
Tierney.
Tierney. Okay.
Yeah.
And she is from what she said was a small town. I was thinking like under 5,000, a small town of 34,000, which we were laughing. In Louisiana, she would be like the 8th largest city in the state. But in Pennsylvania, you've got some big, where are y'all at in Pennsylvania?
We're right outside of Philadelphia.
Oh, so y'all are kind of like a suburb or something.
Yeah,
How far
we're
are
a
y'all
suburb.
from downtown center are y'all?
Probably about half hour to 45 minutes, depending upon traffic.
Right. Yeah, traffic makes a big deal in those larger cities. Okay, but before we get started with Monica, I'd like to play our thank you video. We'll probably play this for a few more. We just broke our 300th episode. Just wanted to thank everyone for contributing to that. People like Monica coming on, sharing their story and what's going on in their part of the country within Parks and Rec. And then after, we are now full steam ahead with working with strategic partners that are coming online to help us co-create the Daily Parks and Rec Show so that we can all together lift up this industry and create the first media company just for Parks and Rec. And we're hoping to make something similar to how ESPN caters to the sport industry. We want to create a network that caters to the Parks and Rec industry. So I'll play those two promos and then we'll come right back and start our conversation with Monica. 300 episodes. What started as a small idea, a way to share stories from the Parks and Recreation community, has grown into something truly special. From heartfelt conversations to behind-the-scenes stories that celebrate everyday heroes. Every episode, every message, every listen has been powered by you. To our loyal listeners, our partners, and every Parks and Rec professional who continues to inspire us, thank you. You've helped us grow, you've helped us evolve, and you've reminded us why we do this, to tell stories that matter. This milestone isn't just ours, it's yours too. As we celebrate our 300th episode, we look ahead to the next chapter. More stories, more community, more impact. From all of us here at DPRS Media Company, thank you for believing in us, for tuning in, and for helping us make it this far. Here's to the next 300 episodes. and beyond. Are you a vendor, brand, or service provider ready to connect with the heartbeat of local communities? At DPRS Media Co., we tell the stories shaping parks and recreation across America. Through podcasts, live streams, videos, and newsletters, we reach frontline leaders, city directors, and decision makers every single week. From youth sports and facilities to programming and policy, our audience is your audience. Sponsoring or partnering with DPRS Media Co. puts your brand in front of the professionals who build, budget, and buy for their communities. Launching a new product, growing your presence in public spaces, targeting cities, counties, or departments, DPRS is your trusted media partner. Whether you're in software, turf, aquatics, robotics, smart cities, or special events, partnering with DPRS puts your brand in the story. With commercials, interviews, social campaigns, newsletters, and live shows, we're your media team. Partner with us and grow your impact in the $200 billion parks and rec industry. DPRS Media Co. Stories that move parks and rec forward. Your audience is here. Let's meet them.
All right. So just to give everybody a little update on the strategic partners, we're only going to accept 20 for the calendar year of 2026. We have 5 that are signed away. We're starting to create programming with them, and we are in about 17 other conversations and deep conversations and about 60. So with only about 15 slots left to open, we're hoping to fill that by the end of the year so that we can really just focus on building out the network and the shows and the hosts and our continue to expand our team. So first come, first serve. So get your spot while they last. I'm hoping to finish that part of it. I guess this would be the fundraising part of it before December. Maybe it might go into January, but we're going to push really hard. But Monica, how is the weather up there? Has it changed a lot for y'all like it did down here?
Chilly. It's chilly outside. We're probably in our 40s or 50s right now. It's, you have to warm up the car.
Yeah,
That's where we're at right now. But beautiful fall colors, and it's nice outside right now. So hopefully people are getting out.
yeah. Well, it's chilly over here too. It's just hitting around 70, which is cold for New Orleans, but everything's still green. It'd probably be a good summer day for y'all.
It's shorts weather, 70.
That's right. That's right. All right. Well, let's go back into your athletic career. You were a 400-meter college sprinter, but let's go back into high school, who you were as an athlete and how were you involved in Parks and Rec in those early days?
I was involved, but I didn't know I was involved. Probably
Mm,
like most kids, you just go and you play sports. I danced, I played basketball. My mom signed me up for everything to keep me out of trouble, just like every other
right.
kid. So that's kind of my early introduction. And, back then, of course, you don't know all the work that goes into making the parks run and the facilities great and, all those great things. So that was probably my introduction.
Mhm. What were some of the
So
things she kept you in aside from track? Were there other sports or other even non-sport programming? Did you do anything like summer camp or something like that?
Oh yeah, summer camps. I participated, and then I ended up becoming a camp counselor.
Ah,
And I kind of grew with parks this whole time, and I didn't really know that it was a job, and that one day I would be working in parks. So, I did a little bit of everything. I was involved with art and just a little bit of everything. Even Girl Scouts. I think we met in some of the parks facilities, things like that. Growing up.
can you tell so I never when I was a kid, I never did summer camp with the Parks and Rec. I think I did well, I take that back. I think I did a tennis summer camp for like 2 weeks. But for those that have never had any exposure to summer camp, what is it like when you're a child enrolled in summer camp, a parent that's enrolled in their child, and then a camp counselor? Can we kind of go through all 3 of those?
Well, my camp experience was more with the YMCA side of things. It was like my best friends. You made your best friends in the summer. You had the typical one day of swimming, one day of a trip to anywhere, probably in the Philadelphia region for me at that time. It was just such great experiences, exposure to different populations, different people you didn't see in school, and just long term friendships, which was,
Mhm.
a great thing. And then in college, I was a camp counselor, and that was a totally different experience because,
Yeah.
I was with the teen campers, and,
Mhm.
it's not the little kids, they're not as needy, but they're also hard to entertain.
How
You
many
know,
did they give you, were you kind of responsible for?
at that, I was probably somewhere between 15 and 20 kids.
Mhm.
I had with me, and I was made to drive a 15 passenger van. I never drove
No
something
way.
so big. It was like a big, a big deal. I was responsible for taking all these kids to the beach or wherever we went on our trips. We went to the beach regularly every Wednesday. It was a trip day, as I remember, and it just was a lot of responsibility to drive that van. And I remember that being a little stressful.
And so it usually starts obviously after school ends. What do y'all take, like a 1 or 2 week break, and then it runs all summer until school starts, maybe a week before?
Yeah, I mean, I always went all summer when I was a kid. My mom was a teen mom when I
Mhm.
was born, and so I always had to be in camp because my mom and my dad both had to work in order to,
Right.
make our household run. So yeah, it was a full day. I was there pre-camp. They have early morning camp and evening camp, and I'd be there from, I don't know, 7 in the morning until 5 when they picked me up. Long days when I was a kid, but definitely really got to know people. I enjoyed it. I didn't know any different, so had a good time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, and like you said, for those since your mother was a teenager when she had you, or by the time well, what's the youngest that you, can participate in summer camp?
In Pennsylvania, it's 5, and then you
Okay,
can do like daycare kind of camp before that.
yeah. Yeah, so that's really helpful for those, young families where you're just kinda starting, still trying to probably still pushing not much above a minimum wage job. This really is somewhat of a, like a daycare for them to be able to keep their child involved in some good stuff rather than leaving them at home or something.
Yeah, and it's affordable. Municipal recreation, they make camp affordable. It's not like a private camp where, you're paying tons of money to send your kiddo to some elite camp. It's a very affordable day camp. We have teachers, and we train young youth, and they get their first jobs in camp, and
Oh,
it makes
wow.
it very affordable for the parent. So our youngest camp counselor is 16, and then we have a
Mhm.
transition, a CIT program, like a counselor and training program for 14 to 16, where they get to like be partnered with a camp counselor and train. So it's kind of a whole like into leader development into leadership program.
Wow, and that was all through the YMCA?
That was through the YMCA, and that's how I run my camp now
Yeah,
at our facility.
yeah. So you come in at 5 years old, that's what, kindergarten age or 1st grade age?
Kindergarten, yeah.
Kindergarten? And then
Mhm.
at around 16, that's usually around a sophomore, junior, correct?
Yep,
And then so
yeah.
you can actually get paid to be a summer counselor, in your last few years in high school.
Right, and a lot of them stay with us through college, so it's
Wow.
a great
And then
thing.
what's the work hours? It's usually what, 7 it's gotta be pretty early before work starts, like 7 or 8 AM, and then what's the longest you can stay, 5 PM or something like that?
We have counselors that are here until 6. We do 2 different shifts, like ones that
Mhm.
start earlier and ones that start a little later to
Yeah,
cover. But it's nice, it's a nice summer gig for these kids. They work
right.
Monday through Friday. They have no weekends of work. They have every night off. It's a great gig,
Yeah.
if you really think about it as a teenager.
Yeah, and I imagine you can pick up some really good soft skills because like you said, you're in charge of what, 15 to 20 kids, keeping them moving, and then when do they allow you to drive them around? I guess, that's more college age or maybe high school senior or something like that?
Well, at our camp, we don't allow the counselors to drive the
Ah,
kids. I don't know if
okay.
it's PTSD for me, but we hire a busing company. I think back and say I was not responsible enough to drive that.
Yes. Well, I had a pile of kids myself, and I remember all of my older kids knew how to drive that 15 passenger van, and that's just how I taught them. Sometimes on the
Mhm.
streets of New Orleans with streetcars and bicyclers and pedestrians and cars and terrible straight streets, I'm like, "You can drive in this environment, you can drive pretty much anything, anywhere." And
That's
so it was
probably true.
yeah, it was like my driving academy. They would give me a heart attack though, and I was in there with them. I can't imagine not being in there and just wishing them luck, send them to the beach every Wednesday. Yeah.
Right. I think I was 20, about 20 when I first had to drive the van. And still then
Yeah.
I just, it was very stressful for me.
Right. Not that you would have lost any kids or anything, but did anyone you know lose a kid and have to go find them or run off or anything?
No, no, we didn't have any issues with it. We were pretty good on keeping track of our children. So we never,
Right.
we never lost anyone,
Yeah.
thankfully.
I would
So,
think every once in a while one would try to escape, try to just
well, you know,
play
they
hooky and
try.
run off. But yeah, that's such a great program to offer.
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah,
there we go.
it's a great, you know, we do that in the pool, and we have kids who work for us from 14. We have about 134 kids that work for us every summer,
Wow.
from 14 to, actually, I shouldn't say kids, to I think in our 80s is our oldest person who
Right.
works for us in the summer. And we really try to use it as an opportunity to train the kids in leadership. So we bring in guest speakers at the beginning of the season
Oh,
who
wow.
are, you know, that you would see at a conference. We try to make it conference style. We rotate the kids throughout the building. We, you know, really give them a experience to teach them, lead them into their college career, into their future. They might not work for me forever, but you know, I want them to say, I came from Lower Makefield Parks and Recreation. This is where I learned, you know, these
Yeah.
skills.
Yeah. And then, as far as it being a parent, like you said, what are some of the other things that you could mention aside from it being, like you said, affordable? This can be somewhat your take the place of school and daycare during the school year. Anything else that parents might want to know?
I just think it's an opportunity for their kids to become well-rounded. You know, it gives their kids soft skills, you know, learning how to work with other kids, learning to do things that they might not necessarily like, learning to be outside and not on their phones.
Yeah.
You know, that's a great opportunity for these kids. You know, that we have things like swimming lessons here. You know, the kids could be learning how to swim. It's a big deal to move up into the bigger pool. You know,
Right.
there's
Right.
there's a lot of different opportunities that they get here that they might not get, you know, if they stayed home for the summer.
Yeah. Okay. Now, I wasn't going to play this till the very end of the show, but I think this is just a great timing for it because we're talking about, you know, being exposed to the career of Parks and Rec, even in high school and college. And so we made a little promo that you could play if there's an orientation component in the beginning of the summer where you have like all 135 kids there. Maybe you can play this and then give your personal testimony as why they should consider Parks and Rec as a career path. And actually, a lot of departments are doing that. It's on our YouTube channel. It's free for everybody to use. It's not copyrighted or anything. And that way they just play this during orientation. And then they give like, hey, did you know you could get a job in Parks and Rec, like as an adult and stuff. So I'll play this and then I want to get your feedback on it.
Oh, that's awesome. Thanks.
Every career is a choice, but few careers let you touch lives. Not once in a while, but every single day. Step into a park on a Saturday morning. You'll hear children laughing on the soccer field, families gathering for a picnic, seniors walking the trails, finding health and friendship. And behind every smile, every memory, is a Parks and Rec professional. We don't just mow fields, we grow confidence in young athletes. We don't just build playgrounds, we create safe spaces where childhood thrives. We don't just plan events, we design moments that anchor generations. Think of the coach who teaches patience, the director who champions equity, the staff member who sees potential in a child no one else believed in. Every day, Parks and Rec professionals shape character, preserve beauty, and strengthen community. And the path isn't easy. Budgets are tight, resources stretched thin, but the reward, unmatched. Because what you give comes back in legacy, in healthier communities, in lives forever changed. So why dedicate your life to Parks and Recreation? Because here, your work never ends. It lives on, in laughter echoing across playgrounds, in green spaces preserved for the next century, in the young professionals rising to lead tomorrow. This is not just a career, it's a calling, It's a legacy. It's Parks and Recreation. A message from the Parks and Rec community.
All right. So what'd you think of our little promo for the industry? And then what would be your testimony to a group of undecided college kids?
Well, I think the video was wonderful. Great job. I will definitely use that at training, and I actually will share that with my colleagues because I think that was a great, well done video. It's funny because I go once a year to Temple University and I speak to students about the pathway to Parks and Recreation, opportunities in Parks and Recreation. And, are you talking about like a testament of the video or, my experience? Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah. So your personal experience or testimony to the industry and why they should consider working in Parks and Rec as a career path.
Yeah, I mean, for like most people don't know all the opportunities there are in Parks and Recreation, and I didn't either. I was a lost college student. I had no idea, what I wanted to do, and I kind of fell into Parks and Recreation. So if you have the opportunity to start fresh as a student and learn, in tourism, hospitality, and Parks and Recreation, now would be a great time. Get yourself experience, get involved with your community, watch community meetings. And maybe even participate in your state agency or NRPA and start to get to know a little bit more about all the great opportunities in parks.
Yeah. Now, does Pennsylvania's state association, do they have any type of internship or scholarship where you can attend the annual meeting for college kids?
Yeah, there are annual scholarships, I think by district, to go to the conference. There's also great discounts for students. So if you don't get the scholarship, it's really not that expensive for a student to go. We do meet a lot of students there, have the opportunity to get to know and grow. And we learn a lot from the students. We have internship programs too. So if you could reach out, to the local agency and intern, we haven't taken one actually in the last couple of years just because of some transition. But we did start an internship program here where the person who comes on board has an opportunity to truly develop something that's long lasting. We have programs that interns have developed that have lasted years. We have documents that interns have written that we still use, and they get the writer writes the byline on the document. So just try and find those opportunities wherever you can.
Yeah. Now, how many scholarships do y'all offer for the annual convention? Is it 5 or 6, or is there more than that?
I know at least 1 or 2 in we're District 3. I'm not sure about the other districts, to be honest.
How many
what they
districts do y'all
offer.
have?
3.
Okay.
It's like East, Center, West.
And then what's the normal cost just to attend if you're a professional? And then what's the discount for a student if they'd like to attend, or do you know?
I don't know offhand, to be honest. A few $100 for a professional, and then for an intern, maybe 100 and change.
Yeah.
But that's Pennsylvania, and there's probably someone from the agency that will watch this and be like, Monica, you're a mess. You don't know.
That's the best way to get the information is present it wrong, and then the right people come up and correct you.
Yes.
I built the entire Bitcoin, the daily Bitcoin show by giving terrible answers, and I knew that the worst answer I would give, the more terrible my answer was, the stampede would come to correct me, and that's how I was able to get some of the best people on my show, because they're like, well, Craig, you're not totally wrong, but here's a much better answer. Sometimes it's good to give it's a motivation for the right people to come give the right answers.
That's awesome.
Now you're pretty active in the state association, correct?
Yeah. I'm I guess it's the chair of the Government Affairs Committee. So I participate in that. I speak at the conferences. I help wherever I can. I write for the blogs and write for wherever I can. So yeah, I participate wherever I can possibly participate.
Now, when did y'all already have y'all's this year? Is it coming up? Are y'all going to have one When is it, next year?
It's in March, usually annually.
Okay, so y'all haven't had it yet then. Oh, y'all had it last year.
Well, we did
Yeah.
theoretically in this year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's coming up soon. And then this year we're excited because the NRPA conference in 2026 will be in Philadelphia. So
Yeah.
we're looking forward to having a local national conference.
Yeah. Oh, that's going to be great. Now that's not till what, around this time next year? Is it going to be around October?
Yeah, October around. Yeah.
So y'all
Yeah.
have y'all's in March, and then you'll have the NRPA probably around the October timeframe, I think. I don't know the exact date.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah. I
tell
don't
us
remember the exact date either.
what rough numbers do y'all get in attendance year to year?
Oof. Oh, I'm terrible. I don't do the conference committee. That's the one thing I don't do. A few thousand, I would
Oh,
say.
wow. Oh, that's
Yeah.
big.
I could be, like I said, someone's going to correct me later, but
Yeah.
it's a good amount of attendance.
Yeah, yeah, because I know a lot of the states I work with have like 400 or 500's a good turnout for them.
Yeah, would you?
We'll get the 300 or 400.
I was
Mississippi.
going to say, Monica, you're crazy. It's not that much.
Yeah. Well, it's not unheard of because Florida gets a couple thousand. Texas gets a 3, maybe 4,000. California gets 2,000 or 3,000, and y'all are a big state too, so it would be in line. And Georgia is a little bit smaller than y'all, but they get around right under 1,000. So it would make
Yeah.
sense if y'all did get a couple thousand in attendance.
I definitely over 1,000, I believe. But
Yeah.
like I said,
Yeah. And then do y'all do any, I know Texas has like a North Texas that meets every quarter. Do y'all have like the different regions that meet quarterly or monthly or annually, at least something like that?
yeah, there are monthly meetings for each district. So we have 3 districts.
Yeah.
And then there's a couple meetings each year that we all meet.
Right. Okay.
Mhm.
And then back to the career conversation, I really like how you kind of lived in it as a user, as a child, and then also as a summer job. And then you kind of left and did what you said you ran a fitness facility or something like that. What did you do? And what time frame was
Yeah.
that?
Probably in my 20s, early 20s, I worked for the MWR in Fort Drum, New York.
Oh yeah,
And
okay.
yeah,
We're
and
looking
I ran a
to
fitness facility.
we're looking to create a weekly show with MWR. I didn't even know what that was, and but one of the guys that's big into it sits on the board of NRPA, and we've been in conversation. He's been on the show several times, and he's like, there's 300 plus military bases that have essentially a Parks and Rec department on every base, and so you kind of worked within that organization, correct?
Yeah, I actually started as a personal trainer.
Uh-huh.
I was thinking I wanted to be in the fitness world. And I did that for a while. And then I was offered this position at one of the fitness facilities. And then I moved up my way up through there. But their recreation is, it's phenomenal what they do for those soldiers.
What base did you
The
work on?
opportunities. Fort Drum, New York.
And that's in New York?
And, yeah, upstate.
How long were you there for?
About 4 or 5 years.
Oh wow, that was a good stint.
Yeah.
So what do you see some of the major differences between like how a military base runs their Parks and Rec department? And when I say military base, it's literally global. It's all the military bases, not just the ones in the States. So you could run a Parks and Rec department for the military in a foreign nation, just as well as you can run something like in upstate New York. But what do you think are some of the big differences that people might not be aware of?
Well, since it's federal, it's much bigger. I'm in municipal government, so I'm like I say, I'm a smaller agency. Yeah, I know you don't think that I'm a smaller agency, but there, we really had great human resources department. We had, great supporting infrastructure that is like just the policies and procedures. It's just very policy driven. Whereas when we were at least especially when I started here, the policies weren't well defined. That's something I spent a lot of time trying to, create for our department since I've been here. But there was a lot of loosey goosiness going on around us. So it's morale, welfare, and recreation. So there are training opportunities. At any time you could be, go to DC and have training opportunities, or you could fly abroad and have training opportunities. There were training opportunities a little bit everywhere, where it's a little different when you work at this level. And libraries, recreation, and physical education, and childcare was all considered in that umbrella. Whereas that's not always the case in municipal government. You have to know more about, the finance side of things. You have to know more about your budget. You have to know, more about, you have to be more well-rounded, I guess, on a municipal level.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would actually talk to a few other soldiers that are now in Parks and Rec, but that were very involved in that, those military bases and the Parks and Recs that are on there. And they were saying a lot of the people you're working with literally just are stepping off the field of battle and dealing with that and that trauma. And then their ability to relax and try to unwind really affects their ability to be combat ready, is what they would say. And so it's they say their Parks and Rec departments are a vital part of combat readiness. So I know it's a little bit different for cities and stuff. Of course, sometimes when you're in a family and when you're, in grade school, it seems like you're going into combat.
Not the same.
different type of combat.
Yeah, I mean, and that was another thing too, is, you have the families utilizing, and you never know what they're going through.
Yeah.
So, you might have a spouse trying to use a piece of a recreation equipment who reacts in a big way to something very small, but you have no idea what they're going through. Maybe their spouse just deployed, or maybe their dad just deployed, or maybe, something's going on that, you just don't know. So you have to kind of start thinking about that, like, underlying factor when you're talking to people at the military base, versus it's a little different, when you're here in municipal government.
So I know at some point you could still be there today, still doing the same job, but you chose for some reason to come into the municipal government in Parks and Rec. So maybe bring us back to what was going on in your head and why you kind of made that decision.
Well, I moved back home near family. I had kids, and I wanted to be closer to my parents, and I have a very large family. They are all here. So it's just nice to have that support system when you have young kids. So
now you come from a big family, or you've had a lot of kids, or which was it?
I have 5 kids, 3 stepkids and 2 biological kids. And then my dad is one of 10, and my mom is one of 3. And I can't even tell you how many cousins. So it's just a very big, good, supportive family. And it just was nice to be back home with my kids. And it took me a little while to transition. I actually, I had an interview with a Park and Rec agency pretty early into my move, and it went very poorly. And
what happened?
I mean, it was good. I went through probably 3 rounds, and then the last round, they started asking me more of the finance and business side of things, and I just really wasn't ready to answer those questions. I didn't have that background. So
what were some of the questions that they would ask you that you were lacking and that you had to go kind of shore up?
Like, they were asking me more about, like, preparing for my budget, how do I do my capital planning, things like that I just wasn't as well versed in, because for the military, you have people who do that, right? You tell them what you need, and then they do it. Here, I'm doing it. And
Right.
that's a difference. So I actually decided to go back for my MBA after that went that went how it went. I went back for my MBA, and then right when I finished, I ended up getting this position that I have now.
Nice. And so that was what, a 2-year MBA program, or 4?
Yeah, it was a 2-year MBA program.
Yeah. And so what you're saying is at the military base, you have a lot more counterparts that can help you, whereas in municipal government, you pretty much get all the hats on day one, and you have to be somewhat versed in it.
Yeah, I mean, you wear every hat. I mean, from marketing to finance to human resources. I mean, we do it all in our departments here. We're less, a lot less funding, a lot less support. So you have to be ready to do all of those things.
Yeah. And so was Lower Makefield, was that your first, you've been there the whole time, or have you kind of moved?
I've been at Lower Makefield for 8 years. So since, I finished the MBA program, I've been at Lower Makefield. I've done, I did other little jobs on the side, like along the way, but this one has stuck for 8 years.
Yeah. And you came in as director, or did you come in like assistant director and then move up?
Came in as director. I was ready. I mean, the size of the facilities I ran at Fort Drum really was equivalent to what I'd be doing here. I just needed to have that like business side of things, down, and I was able to get that down in school. So I came in right in as a director. This department was only a one-person department when I first came, and there wasn't much. The township grew almost doubled in population since the 90s, and the supporting infrastructure did not, right? Like all the staff in the background, the people who support didn't grow. So that was a part of my charge when I first came in is, okay, how are we going to be able to support the number of residents we have and the number of park facilities we have? So that's what I spent my time doing over the last 8 years.
Yeah, that must have been really valuable to have that, because a lot of times you go to school and you're like, I don't know, am I ever going to use this stuff? But you were actually there to get the knowledge you needed so that because you knew exactly what you were going to do with it. So that must have changed how you, I guess, even paid attention in the class, because you're actually going to get the tools that you need for the employment that's coming your way.
Oh, sure. It did. It changed how, I participate and how I looked at it. I knew where my gap was. I had to fill the gap. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't even realize we blew past the 30-minute mark, and we were supposed to, I was just right in the conversation. But that's a good natural break. Okay, so what I want to play next is I'm going to play a promo for tomorrow's Thursday Youth Sports Mastery show. But then right after that, I'm going to play, I don't know, have you seen our essential services video that we made?
No, I can't wait to see it.
You're going to love this one. This is by far our most famous video that we've ever made. And again, we made it as a gift to the industry. It was the first one that we made. Excuse me. No, this is our second one. And it helps to reframe the conversation around Parks and Rec is absolutely an essential service as a response to it being considered a non-essential service during COVID, and how a lot of budgets got, slashed down to almost nothing. And then we realize how important it is. And so we want to make sure that we're doing our part to really continue framing the conversation of Parks and Rec being an essential service. So I'll play the Youth Sports Mastery first, and then we'll end with that one, and then we'll come back and finish our conversation with Monica.
At DPRS Media Co., we don't just create content. We elevate community through storytelling. Now, we're proud to introduce the newest addition to the family. Welcome to Youth Sports Mastery, the podcast where champions are shaped, not just on the field, but in life. Hosted by National Academy of Athletics founder Aaron Locks. Youth Sports Mastery dives deep into how youth sports can empower kids, strengthen communities, and build leaders. From coaching culture to recreation strategy, and from player development to parent impact, every episode brings game-ready insight from the people making it happen. Youth Sports Mastery goes live every Thursday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Only on the Daily Parks and Rec Show, sponsored by National Academy of Athletics. And powered by DPRS Media Co. This is where purpose meets play.
When we talk about essential services, what comes to mind? Police, firefighters, healthcare. But there's another essential service, often overlooked, yet always present. Parks and recreation. Parks and Rec is health. It's the walking trail that lowers blood pressure, the recreation center where seniors fight isolation, the swim lessons that prevent tragedy before it happens. This isn't a luxury, it's a lifeline. Parks and Rec is safety. a playground instead of a street corner, a basketball court instead of trouble, a summer camp where every child belongs. It's not just about activity, it's about protection, prevention, and possibility. Parks and Rec is community, the festival that brings neighbors together, the cultural event that teaches respect and diversity, the open space where a city breathes. It builds bridges where division once stood. It gives people a reason to gather, to connect, to care. And Parks and Rec is economics. It strengthens property values. It drives tourism through events and trails. It saves on healthcare costs. Every dollar invested multiplies, feeding back into schools, into safety, into growth. Essential service is not just about survival, it's about thriving. And Parks and Recreation is where thriving begins. In wellness, in equity, in culture, and in joy. Parks and Rec isn't extra, it's essential. For our health, for our safety, for our communities, for our future. A message from the Parks and Recreation community.
Any thoughts on that?
My gosh, I love it. I this is a battle we are always fighting. I'm still fighting this battle to this day, talking about the essential part of Parks and Recreation. You're always in a municipal government. You're battling for budget with the police department, the fire department. And they always have gotten priority. But meanwhile, here we are. We're preventing crime. We're improving health for our community. We're bringing the community together. So, this is great video.
Yeah. And I'm just now realizing that you're the one that got me in touch with Michael.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So we're doing it. This is his second
That's
week.
great.
We did our first show on Friday. We've got another show on Friday, and so he's going to be the host for the Young Professionals Network Friday show at 12 noon. And then he said that he's dating your daughter. Is that?
Yeah.
And he said she may be interested as well.
Actually, her twin.
Her twin. That's right.
She's in marketing. Yeah. Yeah. So she might be interested as well. Mm-hmm.
And he said his roommate is also in it. And so we're looking to have about 4 interns at a time. And they'll have, and that way it won't just be them by themselves. We'll actually have 2 of them hosting the Friday show. And then we have another show that we'll have 2 of them so they can kind of collaborate and not feel like they have to do it all by themselves. Because sometimes it's kind of scary when you have your own show and show guests and have all that kind of stuff. So we're looking to get maybe at least 3 just from you.
I do love doing that. I love connecting people. That's
Yes.
one of my favorite things. So I'm glad that worked out. But I saw Michael's a little bit of his video the other day, today, actually.
Yeah.
So it's good stuff. It's great what you're doing.
Yeah. Well, if you know of any other interns from here till the end of time, send them our way. Because we'd love to get, and this is just aspirationally, we would love to get 4 interns every semester during the year and 4 during the summer, so that hopefully for the industry, we can be preparing 12 interns a year that may be ready to go to run a marketing side of Parks and Rec and know how to create the content, distribute the content, even have stage presence and understand all the hardware and software. So we're hoping to really prepare them to be more employable to the Parks and Rec industry.
Yeah, I've talked to him a lot about his time with you. He's really enjoying it. So
Yeah.
I think you have a great program you're putting together there. It's good, good stuff.
Well, it will probably be somewhat of a train wreck for the first one, but it'll, I guess when you're going from 0 to train wreck, it's better than 0.
I said to Michael, you're going to be such a pro at these, videos with time. It's great information, great opportunity.
Yeah.
So it's good.
Well,
He's been dating my daughter for 4 or 5 years now, so he's been involved. I sucker him into all of our activities and programs, so he's been
fantastic.
around it for a while.
Well, then while I have you, since you're a director and you know Michael,
Mhm.
what would you like to see skills to have him develop that would make him most useful to run and this is such a great conversation because you've actually spoken on marketing and you're a big advocate for the industry of Parks and Rec. And so I'd really
Mhm.
like to get your input, like if you would help me, kind of brainstorm around what skills we can be adding to them over the next maybe 12 to 24 weeks that you'd like to see them get proficient at.
I mean, I think it's great for them. A lot of times when you're a college kid, you don't get those soft skills and, all
Mhm.
that opportunity to have the hands-on and get to connect with people who are already in the industry. He has a great opportunity here. You're setting him up with a framework to practice his, speaking, his presenting, getting to know how to use the equipment, getting to know how to, you know, operate a podcast and interview. I just think, all of those things would be a great opportunity for these, young new professionals, coming on board.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's really 3 components that a lot of people see just the first one, which is what we're doing right now, me and you live. We're actually capturing the content. So it's no different than if you were to show up with a camera and take still pictures and videos of a special event, say a big Halloween event that might be coming up. And so now you've got it in your hard drive, but it may not be ready for distribution. That's when it goes into production, where or editing, where there's lots of software and hardware that's involved with editing and preparing it for mass distribution, which is the third leg of it. But that third leg is really the important part because that's where you post it on LinkedIn, you post it on Facebook, you post it on Instagram, and now you have to work the comment section, which is is sometimes the biggest workload, is just
Right.
responding, engaging with the community, and figuring out ways to grow your community online. And that's the part that a lot of people don't see in addition to the editing part. They only see, like, the one-hour interview, but they don't see all the other stages that come after that that are every bit as, if not more important, and that's where the actual community building happens. So, if they can do that for us, then they'll be perfectly prepared to do that for a city, and that's our framework moving
Yeah.
forward.
I mean, Craig, I have no idea what all goes into doing what you do, to be honest. I mean, I, I imagine, and you were even at the beginning today, you were talking about, the fundraising piece.
Mhm.
That might be something for them to learn too. What does it take for you to financially make this all happen? I'm sure there's a cost to what
Oh,
you're
yeah.
doing,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
that's really cool too.
there's, um there's a fundraising component to everything that anything in Parks and Rec touches. So let's just say you're in the director seat and you want to, you've kinda maxed out your tax revenue, and so now you have to go into the community to help co-sponsor a special event. And they'll get their booth and so maybe they give you $5,000 and they get a booth and they get their name on and their logo and that kind of stuff, and then you need to get like 10 sponsors. So now you might have to call 40 sponsors, potential sponsors, to get the 10 and then collect the 5,000. And you still have to put on the event, by the way. This says
Mhm. Yeah.
and you have to
Yeah. The
organize it.
fundraising piece is a big piece.
Yeah, so we are absolutely involving them in that, because it's great exposure. But then also, if you're running a state association, same thing. You've got like 40 booths you need to fill up, and you've got your old people, you've got your new people. The old people maybe aren't doing it again or coming at a much smaller level or not doing the big gold sponsorship, so you gotta find a new, high-level sponsor. And then same thing for building a media company. It's no different that we need support from our vendors that see our audience as their target market and what's the value we bring to them, what's the value they bring to our audience, and then having to coordinate all that is that's kind of like the business side of a media company, but it's very similar to the business side of a Parks and Rec department and a state association. It's pretty much the same work and the same vendors. The only difference is, um, your vendors are more local vendors. It might be like
Right.
a local restaurant or a local grocery store or a local fitness center that may not be interested in sponsoring a whole state event or a national thing like we do. The good news is we get to pull from the entire nation, and we talk mainly to the largest vendors that distribute nationwide. And so a local state vendor really is not a good fit for us. Certainly a community vendor is not a good fit for us. Um, Now I say that we do produce the Rec Room, which is with Henry County, Georgia. And so a lot of we've had several of we're in conversation right now with several of their local vendors that want to support their monthly show that we produce with them. So yeah, we'll definitely send them all through the ringers, and they'll get exposure to every bit of it.
I love it. He seems really excited, so I'm happy for him too. I think
Yeah.
it's a great opportunity.
Yeah, well, it's going to keep getting better and better. He's just like the first wave is always the bumpiest, and then the second wave has the benefit of all the lessons learned by what me and Michael and the others that we're going to get in this first wave of interns. And so as we get more and more semesters under our belt, it'll just get we'll just keep dialing it in. But tell me about some of the marketing presentations that you've given at NRPA, especially because I think you presented also on what it's like to be a smaller city.
Yeah, well, the first time I presented at NRPA, I realized that I should have marketed my marketing presentation to small cities, and it was maybe not as relevant to larger cities. So that was a lesson learned. We talked a lot about social media in a smaller city is very different because it's all your neighbors that are talking, right? They're all the ones that are chattering on social media, and sometimes they're nice and sometimes they're not, but they all know each other, because it's a smaller community. So for our township, when we first implemented social media, we implemented it without comments. And used it more like a billboard to put the information out, and then it got shared by people and stuff like that. Well, when I introduced that concept at NRPA, which isn't the greatest way to do social media,
Right.
it just was what we had. That's what we had time to do. We don't have a marketing person. We do our own marketing in-house with the different department heads. So that's what we had time to do, and that's how we operated, which I think might be changing soon. But the reaction in the room was the small towns, the smaller townships were like, I get that. This is what we do too. And the larger townships, they're like, whoa. They have big marketing departments and all that stuff. So that was a very interesting experiencing, so there's that piece of things. We do a lot of posting, but not as much worrying about the comments.
Yeah.
So
Do
we do.
y'all work the comment section now, or
No, we don't. I think that's going to have to be a culture change that we talk about as a community. I don't know that our elected officials, they kind of like it how it is right now. So that's the route we're going. But I think we have the tools to be able to do it now. Yeah, we use ZenCity. Have you ever heard of ZenCity?
No, I haven't. What is that?
It's an AI. It's an AI system that tracks people where they are. So it kind of looks at all the local news channels, all the local social media, anywhere that Lower Makefield might be mentioned or your township might be mentioned, and it pulls it all together into one report for you. And you can do all your social media posting through there, but you can see what people are talking about in your community, and you can adapt your social media to like meet what people's concerns are and things. So I feel like we're set up now that we use ZenCity. We might be able to
ZIN City?
ZEN City, CITY. It's like ZenCity IO, I think is the
.io.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because we're in conversations with a couple of AI companies that work with big data. So they're able to capture data from all the different platforms and cell phones and traffic and spending habits and everything. And now you've got information to make decisions with versus just like guessing or counting. And so is that just like a monthly or annual subscription that y'all pay for that functionality?
Yeah, we do. I think it's an annual subscription, how we do it. And it's great. It captures everybody's stuff where they are. A lot of people put stuff on social media and then just think things are going to get done rather than actually communicating with us. And that helps us kind of, mediate that a little bit. We're able to see what people are worried about, or what things are being what's being talked about, or what kind of chatter is going on. It also helps us manage like annual surveys. It puts surveys out on social media, and it does everything for us, so we can find out the needs of the community, and it manages all of our projects too. So whenever we're working on something, we have a site for it. It's cool.
Yeah, well,
It's a neat site.
I definitely encourage y'all to turn on that comment section, because I've been in content creation for 8 years, and I can't think of an influencer that works with media content creation that is not beating the drum on the comment section. Is where you build your connection with your community, that engagement. It's where it happens. But then on your side, you've got the attorneys saying, we don't want anything to be said to put a black eye on us that we got to defend in court or something. So it's got to be an uphill climb.
Yeah. I feel like the main reason it was put in place at first was because we didn't have manpower to monitor it. And that's kind of was the original, like, what if we miss something, or what if we, what if something, we can't manage it. Now, we might be in a position where we could better respond and manage it. So
I'll have to dig up for you. We had a city had the exact same situation you're in, and they finally did it. And sure enough, there was some fight going on, and it was like, what do we do? But AI was already around. So this was recently this year, and they typed into AI, give us a comical response to this attack. They just had fun with it. And now and those posts actually did better than all other posts. And so far, every situation has worked out, and they've just used this as a fun way to engage and not really kind of turn away from what's natural. When you're on the internet, you're just open to all the different criticisms that could be thrown at you. I have to find out who that was. And it was somebody like yourself that understands marketing, is big into marketing, has a passion for marketing, and then they're the director as well, which is not that common. Usually directors don't have a lot of desire to get good at marketing. They have to do it, but they're not, somewhat like accounting. They have to do it, but they're maybe not masters of it.
Right.
Yeah.
I might not be a master of it either. I still have proof.
Right. You're getting there. Well, like you said, it's all relative. You may be not a master of it and still top 20 in the nation at it. It shows it doesn't get a lot of love. But that's social media is big, and managing comments, and that's really how you get the word out. And a lot of people, that's just where they get their news from. But with that being said, how much is still in print? Because I know a lot of the older community still likes the physical printout stuff. Do y'all still do anything for that, or any type of newspaper or newsletter or mail out?
So this is a discussion we're having right now, actually. We have an older community. So we have 35 to 40% of our residents are over the age of 60. And we find that our newsletter is very effective on the staff level, because we see people walk in with their newsletter and they say, I'm going to sign up, for this class. We don't track that well. You know what I mean? How many people are coming in with a newsletter? I found out about this in the newsletter. Right now, we don't track that well, but our board would like to go paperless. And I have a fear, and we're talking it out a little bit, that if we go, I don't know that we're ready for paperless yet, just because, people really do read the newsletter with all the information. So that's actually a current conversation we're having in our township.
Yes. Okay. I am going to look up, who did I speak to? Was a master at this? Now they do it all. They are one of the most well-run Parks and Rec departments I've ever interviewed. But so they have an unbelievable social media presence. They have full-time marketing, but I think they tried to get rid of it, and it was a disaster. And now they just leaned into it. They still do all the social media stuff, but they do. It's like a booklet almost, and they make it every quarter, a programming booklet or something. And same thing, they had an older community. Now they're in right outside of Chicago in Illinois, so they're a park district, so they have probably a little bit better funding and stuff. But they cling on to it, They tried to cancel it. They said, "Oh, let's put that back. Put that part back. We need it."
Yeah, we've been
having a
very
conversation.
environmentally conscious. You know, so our community is very environmentally conscious, and they want to get rid of the paper. And I, you know, I get that, but it'd be interesting to see what happens.
I got it. It was Maureen McCarthy at Oak Park, Illinois, and I'll connect y'all on LinkedIn.
Oh, thanks.
But that might be just a good conversation to have, and maybe she can help you avoid the landmines. They step on.
I would appreciate that.
Just tell me where they are. I don't need to experience it for myself.
Oh, that's funny.
Okay, let's see. We've only got a few minutes left, but I wanted you to say a little bit about what it's like being a smaller agency pursuing CAPRA, because I think that's something you had spoken on.
Well, it was a lot of work, but we had to be real creative about CAPRA. CAPRA is very demanding. It's national accreditation for those of you who don't know what it is. And it took us a long time. And there's a lot of requirements. I think it's 155 standards. I could be wrong. And that includes everything from safety, security, to managing your programs, managing your facilities, everything, top to bottom, covers your whole department. And like I told you a little bit earlier, is we were a one-person department. We hadn't grown with the community. So I looked at CAPRA as a way for me to develop the department. I used the chapters to work my way through, you know, structuring the department and creating that structure that I liked, that I had in the military when I worked for the DOD, you know. So I was trying to create that here, and it was tricky. And one of the things that we did was we partnered with a lot of the local universities. We brought in students to help us. For instance, we didn't have a risk management plan. 2020, I hired 2 virtual interns from Penn State's risk management program. And I had them come in. They analyzed our whole community. They met with the police, they met with the fire, and they helped develop our whole risk management plan. And that's how we were able to do that. And then we also used our committees. So, you know, every township, municipality, or government has a bunch of committees. We have a disability advisory committee. They helped write our ADA transition plan, which we're currently writing the second version of now. So as the committee, these volunteers came in, they assessed the parks. They looked for gaps. They looked for things that were difficult to get to in the parks. And we created this whole long-term plan. And we got a lot done, actually, on that plan through the years. And it's just such an exciting, you know, thing, but it was all done by volunteers. So we had to really rely on, you know, partnerships to make CAPRA work for us and to get through it. But it ended up working. So it was great.
And when did y'all get it?
2022.
Wow. Congratulations.
Thanks. Thank you.
Okay. So, what I'm doing is I'm going to play the 2 promos towards the end. And then when we come back, my previous guest, Michelle Johnson in Peachtree City, Georgia, who I'm actually seeing her in person at Jekyll Island. We're covering their whole convention. So we'll be there all week, similar to what we did at NRPA, interviewing people live from the show. I mean, from the convention. But the question she left you was, with regards to programming, what is the best way that you've used marketing to raise awareness around your programming? And then I'll need you to think of a question for my next guest. So you can think about that while I'm playing these 2 promos, and then we'll come right back and get that from you, and then we'll close it from there.
Great, thanks.
Right. Are you ready to lead the next generation of Parks and Rec? Whether you're a student, intern, or rising leader, welcome to the Young Professionals Network by DPRS Media Co. Our mission? To empower early career professionals in parks and recreation through mentorship, visibility, and real-world leadership development. Our vision? A national network of passionate, prepared, and purpose-driven leaders who shape the future of public service. Starting now. Powered by the Daily Parks and Rec Show, YPN gives you access to exclusive interviews, career-building resources, behind-the-scenes content, and live events, all created by and for the next wave of Parks and Rec professionals. Learn from seasoned directors. Build your brand. Get involved with national conversations that matter. Whether you're in youth sports, facilities, programming, or policy, YPN is your launchpad. Young Professionals Network. Your career, your community, your story.
When you invest in our high-performance LED sports arena lights, you're not just upgrading your facilities, you're helping us illuminate the untold stories of parks and recreation communities. Every purchase directly supports the Daily Parks and Rec Show, a media platform on a mission to celebrate the heart and soul of our local parks and programs. From after-school activities to summer leagues, these spaces shape lives, and their stories deserve to be told. Why your support matters. Capturing community impact. Your contribution helps us assemble a talented team of digital artists, storytellers, and filmmakers to create compelling videos, articles, and short films that spotlight how Parks and Rec programs change lives. Sharing untold stories. From a child's first home run to lifelong friendships forged on the court, we'll document these priceless moments and share them with the world. Inspiring the next generation. By highlighting the joy, inclusivity, and opportunities found in our parks, we foster a deeper appreciation for these vital community spaces. Light up arenas, brighten futures. Your choice to install LED sports arena lights isn't just a smart investment in energy efficiency and performance, it's an investment in stories that deserve to be told. Be part of the story. Take action today. Purchase LED sports arena lights and help us shine a spotlight on the heartwarming stories that define our parks and communities. Contact us now to learn more about our products and how your support fuels the Daily Parks and Rec Show. Together, we'll shine a light on the moments that matter most.
Right. So if you need any LED lights, that's one of our big supporters of the show. They can light a baseball field for like $35,000, which is usually a fifth of the cost of some of the other prices we've seen. And then also Michael Moreau, the contact that Monica gave me, is running that YPN show every Friday. So he actually texted me middle of the show. And so we're going to have a conversation sometime today to continue to work that internship program.
That's great.
All right. So what's the best way you use marketing to get the word out about your programming?
So I told you our marketing is tricky, but I would think of one program that we really nailed down, that we do a little unique and a little different than everybody else. And we call it an extravaganza. It's around Easter time. It was born out of COVID. So, when people weren't coming together, we were trying to still make the Easter egg hunt happen. And so we got a bunch of sponsors together and we pulled together an Easter egg hunt. We bought thousands of Easter eggs, and we do this every year, 5,000 or so Easter egg, and we hide them all throughout our whole parks over the series of a week. So, people have to go from park to park to park to look for eggs, and there's big prizes. There's a grand prize. I think it's something like $300 park and rec bucks that could pay for their summer camp or whatever. And it's an opportunity for people to get to know the parks and see the parks. And we have them post pictures on social media and tag us in social media posts. We take pictures of them. They have to come to our community center to pick up prizes, and we post all that on social media. But so it not only does it markets all of our programs and facilities, but it also, shows about the event that we're having in the first place. So it's kind of like a cross promotional thing. People will come back and say, oh, I never even have been to Macclesfield Park, or I've never stepped foot in 5 Mile Woods. And, it was so fun to go there. So it's an opportunity for us to introduce people to our parks that they may have been to historically. And then they have to come back to the community center for prizes. So they may not have ever been to the community center before. So it's an introduction to that. And then on top of that, if they win one of the prizes, they can use it to register for one of their classes, which they may never have taken before. So it's kind of like a multi-layered, marketing campaign. And that's one that we do very well.
Yeah, fantastic. I think I'm going to use that Park Bucks idea. Because I was thinking, what can we do as a giveaway? And I was like, when you said Park Bucks, we could have Parks and Rec Bucks, and I can talk to my vendors and say, hey, if we do like a $200 giveaway, will you be willing to give a $200 discount if they win to the winner?
Yeah, yeah, that'd be a great idea. Love that.
Thank you for
Love
that one. Okay, so what question do you have for my next guest?
Okay, what is a leadership lesson that took you a long time to learn but changed you the most?
What is a leadership lesson that took you a long time to learn? And what was that last part?
But made you change the most, or made you evolve?
That made you change the most or evolve? What's your answer to that question?
It's okay to be vulnerable.
Mm.
I think that's the one. Actually, going through CAPRA, I probably learned that the most, because during CAPRA, you're looking for all your flaws, and you have to get up in front of your township and say, these are our flaws. we have to fix them. And by being vulnerable or showing that you don't know something or learning from your mistakes, there's a lot of growth in that, right? Learning is losing is learning. Not losing is learning. I said it backwards, but it's an opportunity to really learn that. And I feel like in my younger self, I was always just trying to prove that I was right or I had it all together, and I just don't think it's necessary, right?
Right.
Which is, it's okay to be vulnerable.
Yeah, that's such a great answer, because there is no Park and Rec department or human that has it all together and has no flaws. And so you're just either really good at hiding it, but the rest of us know that that's not authentic. There's a storm going on in everyone's life and in every department. And so I think the more honest and upfront you can be, the more, especially if you want people to be honest and upfront with you.
Right.
Otherwise, everybody's hiding.
Right.
everybody's here.
Yeah, very true.
Monica, thank you so much for coming on the show today. This has been great. And you've been such a big help getting me in touch with Michael. And we've been talking about our internship program, but as soon as and then he called me, we were talking like within 30 minutes of me and you talking during our interview. And that's what kicked it off. So I'm holding you responsible for our internship.
Well, let me know if I can help in any way.
Yes, you've been such a big help already, but if you know of any other Michaels, he has been such a blessing, and I can't wait to continue to work with him. But even throughout the years, just keep sending them our way, and we'll get them in the program.
I love it. Well, great talking to you today.
You too. Thanks a lot, Monica. Have a great day.
Yeah, thank you. Yep,
All right,
bye.
bye. All right. So that's, again, I blame Monica for the launch of our internship program. We were just talking. That's it. We were just, talk is cheap. But after my conversation with her, she kind of kicked us off the cliff, and made us launch, just because, after getting me in touch with Michael, having a conversation with him, I was like, all right, there's no reason for us not to do this now. And so really appreciate that. And you never know, you just put the word out there. We were just talking about her life and her in Parks and Rec, and then we started talking about internship programs, and then the conversation just led to that. So you should always ask and tell people what you're trying to do, because you never know the connections they have. And if you don't ask and you don't help people become aware of what you're going through, then you'll never get help for it. So appreciate that, Monica. Okay, so we've got an exciting week next week. Of course, we have tomorrow's leadership show. We have our youth sports mastery show, and then our young professionals network show. So 3 shows left before the end of the week, and then we are already packing. I'm starting to book. I think we've got about 30 slots open for Georgia. So if you are listening to this and you are in the state of Georgia, or if you know somebody in the state of Georgia, please help me get in touch with them, because we still have, I think, about 10 slots, maybe 15 slots left open that we would like to fill. So when I say slots, we're going to interview about 10 people for 3 days. So 10 people on day 1, day 2, and day 3. And it's just like a 10 or 20-minute interview telling a little bit about yourself. So it's not like a full 1-hour interview. We're not doing 30 hours of interview. We're only doing like maybe whatever 20 minutes times 30 is maybe 10 hours of interview. And it's just, how's the convention going? Tell us a little bit about yourself. Of course, we'll watch some of our promos, get your feedback on that. And we're really trying to set up a rhythm for how we cover a Parks and Rec um, annual convention, the state association conventions. And then we're going to be running around with like cameras, taking pictures, taking videos. And then after all that, we get back home, we give all this 30, 20-minute interviews, the pictures, the videos we can take of the vendor hall, of speakers, opening events, closing events. And we give that to the hands of our developers, of our editors. And then they're going to produce like a little 2 or 3 minute promotion for the state of Georgia. We give that back to them, and then hopefully they can use that to promote what they do for the whole rest of the year leading up to the 2026 convention. And so that's kind of aspirationally, that's what we're trying to do. Now we attended NRPA, we attended Louisiana last year, we attended Alabama, Kentucky, but this is the first time we're really showing up at this level, at this capacity. We actually have, oh my gosh, probably about $15,000 more equipment than we had when we did our first one at Kentucky. It was like bare bones. We showed up with more than an iPhone, but that was about it. We did have some mics and some cameras and stuff, but we've spent a lot more, thanks to our vendors and stuff, on really getting the right hardware to be able to cover this well. And we actually have another wave of hardware that's going to cost us about $15,000. We'll probably do that within the next 12 months. And I have to get all the, oh my gosh, the carrying cases for these things are not cheap. But imagine going through an airport with all of your camera equipment, lighting equipment, sound equipment, computers, all that kind of stuff. Me and an intern and somebody else have to kind of drag this through an airport. Because we decided we don't want to drive to California all the way from New Orleans. We're going to take a plane because we don't want a 30-hour drive to San Francisco, or I think it's Southern California. And so we kind of have to, everything we're bringing has to fit in some type of luggage thing. And so we're hoping to get that before March, because I think that's when California is. So we're kind of gearing up for that. Plus, we've got what you saw us do at NRPA, where we're setting up. A lot of you saw the lighting displays and the mics and that kind of stuff, and the laptops and everything. We're going to set that exact same thing up. We're going to kind of wash, rinse, and repeat the interview style, where we're doing 10 interviews on each day. But we really didn't do a good job of capturing the vendor hall, or kind of I might even have some time to do like a man on the street kind of interview, catch some little 5-minute interviews, and then capture like the opening ceremony and the closing ceremony and stuff like that. So we want to try to, of course, that event is so huge. It was much more difficult to capture that. But Georgia, I think, is only going to be under around 1,000 people. So it'd be much smaller than what we saw in Orlando. And we should be able to capture a lot more of the actual events, the closing events, the auctions and stuff like that. So we'll be doing that. And then we want to produce something that we can give back as a thank you. Because Georgia is paying for our hotel. They're covering our food expenses. And of course, we're driving there, paying all that kind of stuff. So we're kind of both. And then we're not really getting any paid for anything, but it's something we want to do for the industry, and it's something we want to do for the State Association of Georgia, because some of our best, shout out to Henry County, Georgia, some of our best park and rec departments that are, I say some of our best, some of our most committed to helping us build out this media company are in Georgia. So we really want to create something special that we can give back to them, and create a good digital asset that they can use for the whole year. And then every year we'll just continue to do this, and we'll improve upon what we're doing, and hopefully just keep getting better and better. So the Daily Parks and Rec Show is coming to a state association near you. I know we've got about 12 lined up between now and NRPA's convention in Philadelphia. And so hopefully we can see you in person. Now, if you do see us out there and you really don't want to be on camera, but please stop by and just say hello, take a picture with me, that kind of stuff. That way I know a lot of you are kind of camera shy. I don't want to do that kind of stuff, or might get in trouble because you didn't get permission from, especially some of the big cities. They're very selective and protective about, the kind of media that they're captured on. So we understand that. But just come by and say hello. I'd love to meet y'all in person. Again, that starts next week. We'll be driving there on Sunday, and I don't think we drive back till Friday. So we'll be there Sunday through Friday at Jekyll Island is where they're hosting it. Again, we're packing for that, so that's going to be a blast. And then the very next week, we do the same thing at Kentucky, and the following week, third week in November, we do the same thing in Louisiana. So November is just going to be, I'll be living out of a suitcase for most of November. But I love it. I'm so glad that, and we're getting such a great response from the local state association. So this is a way that we can serve not just the nation of Parks and Rec, but we can serve the different states, and we can showcase what the states do to the nation. And we'll be doing that with Georgia, Kentucky, and Louisiana in the next 3 weeks. So I'm looking forward to doing that. Again, Monica, thank you so much for coming on the show today. Thank you again for getting me in touch with Michael. He's such a great guy. And hopefully we can get those 2 other contacts as well in our internship program. And again, just a reminder, if you please go onto our YouTube channel and subscribe. We have so many people that like our stuff on Facebook and that like our stuff on LinkedIn, and those are growing. We're over 2,000 people after only a year of being, or probably about 10 months of really being in existence. We're up to 2,000 followers on LinkedIn. We're over 5,000, approaching 6,000 on Facebook. But we only have like 300 subscribers on YouTube, and that's our fault for not even promoting the YouTube channel. So if everyone listening could just go and subscribe to YouTube, because YouTube will not allow us to go live until we get over 1,000 subscribers. So if I could just get 1,000 of my people from Facebook and 1,000 from LinkedIn, we've got 7,000 or 8,000 between those 2 platforms. If y'all could just go and like our subscribe to our YouTube channel, then we can actually pump this content out live on YouTube, and it just gives us more distribution for all this great content. Because the last thing we want is to do like a great interview like we just did with Monica, and we're missing out one of the biggest social media platforms. And I think YouTube is the second largest search engine, I think, in the world, behind Google. So it is, and as far as for video content, it's the biggest. And so I really need to get those numbers up there. And I've just been so busy doing all the other things it takes to build a media company, I've just kind of neglected it. So this is my first push to really encourage my audience to go subscribe to our YouTube channel so that we can get above that 1,000 mark. And at that point, it can just grow organically. But let's try to push it unorganically above that 1,000 person mark. And then after there, we'll get back to what our regularly scheduled programs. All right. So love you guys. Thank y'all so much for the support that y'all have given us so far. And we will see y'all in person starting next week in Georgia. Y'all have a great rest of your day. Talk to y'all later. Bye.
At DPRS Media Co., we believe Parks and Recreation isn't just a service, it's the heartbeat of our communities. We exist to honor the people, the vendors, and the leaders shaping the future of Parks and Rec. Our mission is simple: to tell their stories, highlight their careers, and celebrate their essential work. Our vision is bold: to be the trusted hub where leaders, vendors, and communities unite, inspiring innovation, sharing wisdom, and building a stronger, healthier nation. Through over 220 live shows and 6 weekly series, the Leadership Series, Facility Maintenance, Young Professionals Network, Youth Sports Mastery, The Rec Room, and Growing Leaders, plus our industry-leading newsletter, the weekly Parks and Rec Post, we're building a media platform made for the Parks and Rec community. And now, we're inviting strategic partners to co-create this story with us. As a partner, you'll gain 12 hours of annual live exposure with custom shows highlighting your expertise, polished 60-second promos refined for maximum impact, year-round visibility with dozens of replays across our media network, premium features in our newsletter, and amplified social media reach across LinkedIn, X, and Facebook. This is your chance to educate, inspire, and lead while connecting directly with the professionals who build, budget, and buy for their communities. This is DPRS Media Co. Let's build the future of Parks and Rec together.